Bottom of the 11th. The air was thick with tension, every fan on the edge of their seat, knowing that one mistake or one moment of brilliance could decide everything. The night had stretched on, each inning more nerve-wracking than the last. The stadium was electric, tied game, bases loaded, season on the line. Every pitch, every swing, every breath felt magnified under the stadium lights. The crowd's energy was a living thing, pulsing with hope and dread in equal measure. The Phillies and Dodgers were locked in a battle of nerves. Both teams had fought through adversity to reach this moment, and now it all came down to a single inning, a single play. On the mound, Orion Kerkering, just 24, carried the weight of Philadelphia's hopes. He was young, but tonight he was asked to be a hero, to deliver when it mattered most. He took a breath, eyes locked on the batter, Andypages. The world seemed to shrink to just the two of them, pitcher and batter, locked in a silent duel. Pages swung, a grounder, right back to Kerkering. The ball came fast, skipping off the dirt, a split-second decision looming. Two choices: throw to first for the out, or home to stop the winning run. The runners were already in motion, the stadium holding its breath. Kerkering hesitated, fumbled, then fired home. In that instant, time seemed to slow, every eye tracking the ball's flight. The throw sailed high and wide. The ball slipped past the catcher's glove, a gasp rising from the crowd. Dodgers Hee-Sung Kim sprinted home, sliding in safely. The stadium erupted, half in joy, half in disbelief. The game was over. Dodgers win, 2-1. The players poured onto the field celebrating a victory snatched from the jaws of defeat. Phillies' season ended in a single, frantic play. The dugout was silent, players staring in disbelief at what had just unfolded. Dodgers fans erupted. Phillies fans stood in stunned silence. The contrast was stark, jubilation on one side, heartbreak on the other. Players froze, watching the celebration unfold. For a moment, time stood still, the weight of the moment settling in. One throw, one error, and the dream was gone. The scoreboard told the story, but the pain was written on every Phillies face. The moment would haunt the Phillies for years. For some, it would be a lesson. For others, a scar that never quite healed. Kerkering stood alone on the mound, the weight of the loss settling in. He replayed the throw in his mind, wishing for a second chance. The stadium's roar faded into heartbreak for Philadelphia. The city's hopes, so high just moments before, now hung heavy in the night air. The Dodgers celebrated, but for the Phillies, it was devastation. The agony of defeat was etched into every gesture, every glance. A season's worth of hope vanished in seconds. The Phillies packed up, the echoes of what might have been lingering in the empty dugout. The final play would be remembered, a cruel twist of fate. It would replay in the minds of fans and players alike, a reminder of how quickly fortunes can change. For Kerkering and the Phillies, it was a lesson in the unforgiving nature of baseball. In this game, glory and heartbreak are separated by the thinnest of margins, and sometimes, all it takes is a single throw to change everything. Kerkering stood alone, the weight of the moment pressing down on his shoulders. The stadium, once roaring with hope, had fallen eerily silent except for the distant sounds of celebration from the other side. For a young pitcher, this was the kind of night that could haunt dreams for years to come. The Dodgers' celebration was a distant echo, a reminder of what could have been. Their cheers filled the air, but for Kerkering it all felt muffled, as if he were underwater, separated from the joy by an invisible wall. His head hung low, tears in his eyes. He'd wanted to be the hero, the one his teammates could count on in the biggest moment. Instead, he was left grappling with a pain that words could barely describe. Instead, his mistake ended the Phillies' season. The scoreboard told the story in cold, unfeeling numbers, but the heartbreak was written on every face in the dugout and in the stands. In the clubhouse, he struggled to find words, the pain raw and visible. Reporters waited, pens poised, but what could he say to capture the storm of regret and disappointment swirling inside him? He felt he'd let down his teammates, coaches, and millions of fans. The sense of responsibility was crushing, as if the entire weight of the city rested on his young shoulders. The final play replayed in his mind. What could he have done differently? Each frame seemed to slow down, every movement scrutinized in his memory. Should he have thrown to first? Taken a breath? The questions haunted him, looping endlessly as he searched for answers that might never come. This was every athlete's nightmare, a public failure on the biggest stage. Under the bright lights, there was nowhere to hide, no way to escape the reality of the moment. Cameras and reporters pressed in, but Kerkering faced them with quiet courage. He didn't shy away from the questions, even as his voice trembled and his eyes betrayed his heartbreak. He called it a test wall, something he'd have to climb over. It was a moment that would test his resolve, his love for the game, and his ability to grow from adversity. The hardest part was the loneliness, the sense of responsibility. Even surrounded by teammates, the silence after a loss can feel deafening, the walk down the tunnel endless. Baseball is a team sport, but in moments like this, it feels isolating. The camaraderie of the clubhouse can't always reach the player who feels he's let everyone down. Kerkering knew his name would be linked to this moment. The headlines, the replays, the conversations would all circle back to him. All he could do was face the pain and try to move forward. He understood that failure is part of the journey and that true character is revealed in how you respond to it. The road to healing had only just begun. For Kerkering, this heartbreak would become a lesson, a scar that, in time, might make him stronger, wiser, and ready for the next challenge. As Kerkering stood in shock, his teammates surrounded him, forming a protective circle in the middle of the field. The weight of the moment was heavy, but he wasn't left to carry it alone. In that instant, the Phillies showed what it truly means to be a team, rallying around one of their own when he needed it most. No blame, no anger, just support. Each player offered a hand, a pat on the back, or a few quiet words. The disappointment was real, but so was the compassion. Catcher JT Realmuto was first, hand on Kerkering's shoulder, his presence steady and reassuring. He didn't need to say much. His gesture spoke volumes about trust and brotherhood. The message was clear. One play doesn't define a season or a player. The team's identity was built on resilience, not perfection. Veterans offered encouragement, reminding him of his contributions all year. They spoke of the big outs he'd recorded, the pressure moments he'd conquered, and how every player faces adversity. The loss was shared, the burden collective. No one pointed fingers. Instead, they walked off the field together, united in both defeat and hope. The Phillies had missed other chances. They knew it wasn't just one mistake. Baseball is a game of moments, and every player had felt the sting of a missed opportunity. In the clubhouse, unity replaced disappointment. The air was heavy, but the team's spirit was unbroken. They leaned on each other, finding comfort in shared experience. "We win together, we lose together," echoed through the room. The words weren't just a slogan. They were a promise, a bond that held the team together through every high and low. The team's compassion shielded Kerkering from the harsh spotlight. They made sure he felt supported, not singled out, as the world watched. Brotherhood and loyalty mattered more than the scoreboard. In these moments, the true heart of the Phillies was revealed. Kerkering was hurting, but he wasn't alone. His teammates sat beside him, offering silent strength and understanding. His teammates' support was a lifeline, pulling him back from self-doubt and reminding him that he belonged. This moment of unity defined the Phillies' character. It was about more than baseball. It was about family, about standing together no matter the outcome. They stood together, ready to face the future as one. Whatever came next, they would meet it side by side. In heartbreak, they found strength in each other, and in that strength, the promise of another day. From the start, it was a classic pitcher's duel, 6 scoreless innings. Every pitch, every play, tension mounted. The Phillies' offense struggled, runners stranded, frustration building. In the 7th, Nick Castellanos delivered. A double, the first run scored. The Phillies led 1-0, the dugout erupted. For a moment, it felt like enough. Juan Duran, the Phillies' pitcher, was dominant, protecting the lead. Confidence surged. Victory seemed within reach. The Dodgers now faced the pressure. The Phillies had done their part. Now they just had to hold on. Every out mattered. Every pitch was magnified. The game teetered on a knife's edge. The stage was set for a dramatic finish. The Phillies' lead vanished in the bottom of the 7th. The Dodgers rallied, putting runners on base. The home crowd roared, momentum shifting. With bases loaded, Mookie Betts stepped in. Duran battled, but the count went full. Ball 4 walked in the tying run. The score, 1-1, the Phillies' hard-earned lead erased. Disappointment replaced hope in the Phillies' dugout. The tension in the stadium grew even thicker. A walk with the bases loaded, one of baseball's cruelest twists. The game reset. now a battle of bullpens. Both teams braced for a tense finish. The drama was far from over. Extra innings, pressure mounting with every pitch. Kerkering took the mound for the Phillies in the 11th. Dodgers' Tommy Edman and Max Muncy singled. Runners on first and third, no outs. The Phillies faced their toughest test yet. Kerkering got 2 outs. Hope flickered. But the bases were loaded after an intentional walk. Andypages stepped up. The season hung in the balance. Kerkering delivered. Pages hit a slow grounder back to the mound. The play the Phillies wanted. Kerkering fielded it. But under pressure, he fumbled, then rushed his throw home. The ball sailed past the catcher. The Dodgers runner scored. In an instant, the game, and the Phillies' season, was over. The Dodgers celebrated. The Phillies were left in disbelief. One moment of panic changed everything. The heartbreak was complete. The Phillies' season ended on a play almost never seen, a postseason series lost on an error. Only once before in MLB history had this happened. The rarity made the loss even more painful. Baseball's unpredictability was on full display. One routine play became a nightmare. Kerkering's name was now linked to this rare event. But history is filled with players who overcame infamous mistakes. The challenge for Kerkering to move forward, not be defined by this moment. Playoff pressure magnifies every error. The Phillies' ending was a harsh reminder. Baseball is as cruel as it is beautiful. Philadelphia's love for the Phillies runs deep. The loss sent a wave of sadness across the city. Fans gathered in silence, hope extinguished in an instant. Social media and radio filled with sympathy for Kerkering. The city showed compassion, understanding the pressure he faced. This was more than a game, it was a shared dream lost. The team had captured the city's heart. The ending felt tragic, but pride in the Phillies remained. Fans believed in the team's future. Sorrow would fade, replaced by hope. The love for the Phillies endured. Philadelphia would be ready when next season began. For Kerkering, the future is unwritten. This moment could define him or fuel his growth. He has the chance to turn pain into motivation. His teammates and coaches believe in him. Resilience, not failure, will shape his story. The Phillies are young, talented, and determined. This loss can be a new beginning. Kerkering's journey is just starting. Mistakes don't have to be the end. With support and hard work, redemption is possible. The road ahead is a chance to write a new, triumphant chapter.